So we're a few weeks removed from the Kingston Grand Slam track, and we're now looking forward to Miami Grand Slam, which is also going to be, I think, even more exciting than we saw in Kingston, because Kingston was kind of the first one up. Everyone had been waiting to see what Grand Slam was going to be about, kind of like a little anticipation. Now we've seen it in action. Athletes are hype, fans are hype. Everyone is really excited to now go to Miami to see even more. Listen, this is going to be good. But I wanted to kind of do a little look back to Kingston to highlight a few athletes who might have gotten a little bit overlooked and might really be stepping things up in Miami and really might make some noise. Now, these are going to be 4 racers, because obviously the challengers will come and go. 4 racers from Grand Slam track in Kingston that, again, made some noise and might really be some strong threats going into Miami. Specifically, of course, we call it Miramar. But first up in the men's short sprints, Zharnel Hughes. Now, Zharnel Hughes got 3rd place in the 100-meter dash and 2nd place in the 200-meter dash. This, of course, was behind Kenny Bednarek, who dominated both events, winning the 100 and 200. Of course, 100 was like a very, very close finish, but Kenny Bednarek dominated. He has a story of his own as well. But Zharnel Hughes, 3rd in the 100, 2nd in the 200. And the big thing is that last year in 2024, he was actually injured for the majority of the season. He had a really, really good start to the season early on through about like June or so, but then picked up an injury and wasn't able to really execute, going into the Paris Olympics, eventually not making the final in the 100-meter dash. Though he did run an amazing anchor to get the bronze medal for Great Britain in the 4x1. But overall, he just didn't get to show his capabilities at the Olympic Games. So I think he's now been coming into 2025 with a newfound motivation. And I think this 3rd and 2nd place in the 100 and 200 in Kingston, I think it's really gonna, push him to do even better in Miami. On top of that, he got the bronze medal in the 100-meter dash back in 2023, and he has personal bests of 9.83 in the 100 and 19.73 in the 200. Again, both from 2023, which arguably was probably his best season ever. So what does all that show? That Zharnel Hughes clearly has a lot of untapped potential just based on what we've seen over the past 2 years and what we've seen in Kingston. Think of what he did in Kingston, where in the 100-meter dash, he beat out Akeem Blake, he beat out Courtney Lindsay, and he beat out Fred Curley in that 100-meter dash. Fred Curley is the Olympic bronze medalist, former world champion, and former Olympic silver medalist. Fred Curley is a beast in the 100-meter dash. Zharnel Hughes was able to beat all these guys out. In the 200, he was again able to beat out Fred Curley, who has a personal best of 19.7. He also was able to beat out Joe Fahnbulleh, one of the most consistent 200-meter runners in history, and he beat out Courtney Lindsay, who also has been able to run 19.7 and is extremely fast. So the fact that Zharnel Hughes was really able to show up in Kingston, only really losing out overall to Kenny Bednarek, listen, he's motivated, and if last year is any thought process, of course he's going to be looking towards Tokyo, but right now in Grand Slam track, I know Zharnel Hughes wants $100,000. If not in Miami, he's coming for it at some point. So I'm excited to see what Zharnel is going to be able to do when we get to Miramar in just a few weeks' time. Now, next up, Marileidy Paulino in the long sprints. Of course, Marileidy Paulino, she is one of the most dominant athletes in the world. She's the Olympic gold medalist. She was undefeated last year, but in Grand Slam track in Kingston, 2nd place in the 200, from lane 3. We'll talk about that in a second. 3rd place in the 400. Of course, I think the big thing here is that she got overshadowed because of Gabby Thomas and Saweetie Nasser, right? Nasser ran 48.67 seconds in the 400, and then Gabby Thomas ran a personal best of 49.14. So those kind of like took all the spotlight away. Gabby Thomas got the 100,000, etc., etc. That really took away from the performances that Paulino did, where she actually was really, really impressive. Like I said, 200 meters, I think this was really underrated because she came in 2nd place running out of lane 3, and relative to some of the other competitors like Adina Asher-Smith, who of course is a 200-meter specialist, world champion from 2019. Even Saweetie Nasser, who had run a really strong 200 just a week prior, along with that, strong 400 she did. So for Paulino to really work to get that 2nd place in the 200, that shows that she has some strong potential. And she was only 0.3 of a second behind Gabby Thomas, the Olympic champion, 21.6. Not saying Gabby is in that form, but just the idea. She finished not too far behind Gabby Thomas. On top of that, the 400. Yes, she got 3rd place. People might have had, bigger expectations for her, but think about it. She ran 49.35 seconds. This was Paulino's fastest opening 400 meters of her entire career, ever. In previous years, we're talking about 2021, she opened with 50.31, 2022, 51.20, 2023, 50.33, 2024, 50.08 seconds. Now, she opened up, especially even earlier in the season, we're talking about the first weekend in April, with 49.35. That means that she clearly not only took this meet serious, doing what she did in the 200 and running fast in the 400, but she is also going to be going for something big when we get to Miramar in a few weeks' time. Marileidy Paulino is not someone you should sleep on. Remember, yes, Sawi Nasser, she probably is going to go crazy, go absolute ham this year, but Marileidy Paulino has a personal best of 48.17, not too far off Sawi Nasser's 48.14, which she ran back in 2019. So not to say that, you know, Sawi Nasser is not going to be a challenge, but I don't know, if I'm looking at it as a whole when talking about the combined sport points in the 200 and the 400, I think Paulino is in a very good position to really do some damage when we get to Miramar. So Paulino definitely kind of gotten slightly overlooked considering all the other athletes in the long sprints, but do not forget about her in Miami. Now, number 3, Roshawn Clarke. Roshawn Clarke in the long hurdles, representing Jamaica. He, of course, was in front of a hometown crowd in Kingston, but second place in the 400-meter hurdles and fourth place in the 400. So he didn't do as well as one might have expected, considering his 400-meter personal best that he just ran, a few weeks prior to Kingston. But in the 400-meter hurdles, he has a personal best of 47.34 seconds from the 2023 World Championships in the semifinals. So he, of course, has an insane amount of talent, and I think back then he was still only 18 years old. He was still extremely young back in 2023 to run a time like that. But this time in the 400 hurdles in Kingston, he ran 48.20 seconds. Yes, he got second place behind Alison Dos Santos, but that 48.2 is the 10th fastest time of his career, and it was his season's opener in 2025 in the 400-meter hurdles. That's absolutely insane for someone who's still on the rise, still developing, still growing, but being competitive with some of the rest of the guys. All that's to say, he's of course going to be getting a lot faster. He's of course going to get a lot more competitive, and I really do like his chances as we go into Miami. I think that's really going to motivate him mindset-wise. Like, hold up, I'm capable of this at the top of April. Whew, who knows what's going to happen as the year progresses. Now, at the Paris Olympic Games last year, Roshawn Clarke actually fell to the track. He unfortunately wasn't able to, successfully finish in the Paris Olympic final, despite being, one of the top guys in that race there. But I think something like that is definitely going to motivate him as we progress through 2025. And yes, he's not like the most dominant athlete. He's not, Rai Benjamin, Carson Warholm, Alison Dos Santos. Dos Santos, of course, is a racer in Grand Slam track. He's not a 46-second runner like all those guys, but he has always been in the mix and always been competitive. Like I noted, Budapest 2023 at those World Championships, he was in the mix, made the final there. Zurich 2024, actually at the Diamond League last year, he actually beat out a very highly competitive field, which I think included Alison Dos Santos in that Zurich Diamond League race and ran 47 seconds. London Diamond League 2024, he was also very much in the mix there as well. So it's to say that Roshawn Clarke is extremely competitive, and this first stop of Grand Slam track in Kingston was just a stepping stone to what he might do as we look forward. Looking at the entire field of all the racers in Grand Slam track and even the challengers we saw in Kingston, Roshawn Clarke is the youngest athlete in the field. He is only 20 years old. He is still growing, still developing, and very capable of stepping things up and becoming a Grand Slam champion, maybe in Miami, maybe in Philly, maybe wherever. So we'll see how he does when we look forward. The other last thing I want to know is his personal best is 44.98 seconds, which he actually ran early this season in Jamaica, and that's the second fastest in the field. It's only behind Alison Dos Santos, who's run 44.54. Now, a lot of these guys have untapped potential in the 400, but if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, I'm not betting on no Grand Slam track, can't do that, but I think that Roshawn Clarke is one guy who you do not want to sleep on. So we'll see how he progresses. Last athlete that I think was kind of overlooked, a little slept on, Ackera Nugent, also from Jamaica in the short hurdles here. Now, Ackera Nugent, second place in the 100-meter dash and fourth place in the 100-meter hurdles. Now, fourth place, it may seem kind of low, right? It's not top 2, not top 3, but it was barely behind Jasmine Camacho Quinn and Daniel Williams, who had run 12.70, while Ackera Nugent ran 12.75. So it's not like there was this massive gap behind all these women to get to Ackera Nugent. Yes, I think Tia Jones, she was running 12.6. She was on another level, but Ackera Nugent is very much in this conversation. And she was barely second place behind Daniel Williams in the open 100-meter dash, right? She ran 12.57 behind Daniel's 12.54. So she has the chops to really be in the mix there. And she has the fastest personal best of any athlete in terms of the racers here, 11.09 seconds for Ackera Nugent. She also has the fastest personal best of any of the racers in the 100-meter hurdles with 12.24 seconds. Now, I know that Kenny Harrison, she's going to be a challenger in Miami, but listen, 12.24 is nothing to sleep on. Nothing to sleep on. And that race that she ran, the 12.75, that was actually her fastest season's opener ever of her career. And yes, I know that Grand Slam track, these athletes got to be on. They're racing for the money. It's on right now. So early season, you know, may sound like a cop-out, but at the end of the day, it's reality, right? These athletes still are looking towards the World Championships, but for me, this means it bodes very well for their chances as we look forward to Grand Slam track in Miramar, in Philly, and Los Angeles. So even though Ackera Nugent and even Roshawn Clarke, right, they won't have a hometown crowd like they did have in Jamaica and Kingston when we go to Miami. Listen, Miami still has a very, very, very strong population of Jamaican athletes and fans and all that. So they're going to have a lot of support. And I know that in general, someone like Ackera Nugent, she's very, very motivated, at least to be successful in her own way. She got a bronze medal at the World Indoor Championships in the 60-meter hurdles. Last year at the Olympic Games, similar to Roshawn Clarke, she actually hit a hurdle and was unable to finish the race. She wants to have success. She wants to prove that, nah, I'm not just someone who runs fast times and wins at Diamond Leagues and nah. I want to make sure that I'm going to be a Grand Slam champion. I want to make sure I'm beating out some of these other athletes here. And I think this might be the time for someone like Ackera Nugent to really surprise and step things up. And again, maybe take the Miami Grand Slam title. So those are just 4 athletes that I think got slightly overlooked considering they didn't win their ultimate Grand Slam in Kingston, Jamaica, but did show some real strong promise and are definitely ones to look out for as we approach Miami in just a few weeks time. So Zharnel Hughes, Marileidy Paulino, Roshawn Clarke, Ackera Nugent, 4 athletes to keep an eye out for. This doesn't, you know, take away from some of the other athletes who also competed, you know, in the races, whether it's Caleb Dean, whether it's Masai Russell, right? Whether it's Alexis Holmes, or even someone like an Oblique Seville. All those athletes across the board in these different events, definitely keep an eye out for them. But we'll see what happens in Miami. So let me know what you think about these athletes. Let me know if there's anyone else who I should be looking out for, that we all should be looking out for. And let me know if you're excited for the Miami Grand Slam track coming up in not too long of a time. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.